very enlightening session.
Was it very what? Sorry,
It was a very enlightening session. It
yeah.
was
Yes.
it was good to know that there are a few things that I didn't have knowledge about. So yeah, it was very enlightening yesterday, and
Mm.
yeah.
So what stood out for you most?
The ATS,
Yeah.
the ATS, because I for one my CV has a lot of tables and all that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so the ATS stood out for me, and it's giving me a prompt to go restructure my resume all over again. So yes,
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was a major take home for me yesterday.
That's a very important one to pick up there because ATS is where a lot of people find frustration. Um, does anybody who else got something? Whilst we wait for the others gently.
Unrelated, unrelated for me. I feel, like when you apply for these low, sorry to use the word, low skill jobs,
Yeah,
like you get called easily because they just need you. But the higher you go, like the more technical, the more
Yeah,
professional you have to become.
yeah,
So you're not, so you're like you're becoming professional. With what I saw yesterday, I was kind of surprised because even the job I have, I just put, I have this, and oh, you know, when you when you now get to that level of, like being a professional, you know,
yeah,
then you have to like look at what you're submitting to organizations actually.
yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Another interesting fact is the fact that for every job you apply for, you have to alter your CV. So
yes,
a lot of us have one CV fits all. One CV
yeah,
just sent to 50 companies and all that. But yesterday she threw more light on the need or the fact that you have to, for every job role, you have to tweak your CV.
yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, it was quite refreshing yesterday.
yeah. It's very important, and that's where the you can you can actually have an unfair advantage with yesterday because most people actually use one CV, just try your luck. They complain when they don't get result, right? So you just think about it. If you're looking at jobs, you know that these are different organization. Yes, it is BA, it is related role, right? But they don't have exact same need. All these organizations, they do different things internally. So that's why they will go to ATS and say, yes, I need a BA, but requirement gathering is key for us. Conflict management is key for us. Drawing a flow and being able to map a flow is key for us, right? 5 years experience is key for us because we want someone that has done it for a long time. They will key that into the ATS, right? And they'll put all the other things they want like that, key it into the ATS. And what will happen? Now, you might see that not, I just use my normal standard BA resume. You apply. Sometimes you get immediate, unfortunately. So that's the automated response from ATS. Why? Because you've not actually satisfied what the company wants. Yeah. So even though you're a good candidate, you're not a good candidate for that job. So that is why it's so vital. And if you want more success, you need to you need to optimize your resume, increase your chances. And it's not just Australia, it's not just us telling you can do that research. 75% of candidates, their CV will automatically be trashed by ATS. The remaining 25% we now go to the human manager table, which is the example Tayo gave you. You now go to somebody's desk, and trust me, people are very busy at work. Think about the work you do today. You're busy. Nobody, if 5 CVs, 6 CV goes to the table, nobody wants to spend time interviewing 5, except they didn't really find someone they can go through that extensive. So they will call the one that has the best information, maybe 3 or 2, call them for interviews. They'll see how it goes. If they find the person that fits them, they'll just, go with that person. Right. So that's why it's a bit of you working hard to get that interview. And when you get to that interview, you want to showcase yourself. You want to go beyond just, oh, I'm technical. Because we've had some people, they will tell them, yeah, you're a good, you have all these skills and experience, but culture fit, right? You were not very, like you didn't show so much soft skills, which is why we say practice, interview, practice how to answer all these questions, have fun with it, and it will come only if you practice. You really you live and breathe these things, so the conversation is natural. You can't go and have conversation about something you're even just learning in a natural way the first time or the second time at the actual interview. So you want to be in that conversation, talk, do demo with your friends, your kids, with your everybody, let them see how you respond. You see that the flow builds up. And then when you go there, it's no more like a unplanned conversation. It is a conversation I've had many, many times. I'll go there and talk about what I've done. And that optimizes my chance to get a job. Kemi.
Okay, so yesterday was really like an eye-opener for me because
Yeah.
I never knew people put in that kind of strategy for job applications. Like I've never seen it anywhere, I've never heard it anywhere. And I'm like, the few interviews I've ever gotten in my life, how on earth did they even call me for interview? Because I didn't put in any of that kind of strategy. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just like yesterday, I went to Kmart, just like Tire story. I got a big notebook. I got colored pens. I need to start reading because getting an interview, it looks like the probability of someone getting an interview with that kind of strategy is really high. So I need to really, really prepare. So interview is not even a problem now.
Yeah.
Like my preparation.
Exactly. So it is about, so when I get that interview, what do I do with it? You're absolutely going to get, I can assure you, as long as you apply using this strategy, you will get interviewed. That is for sure. Now, the question is, what do I do? Like, what do I do with it? The difference between people that get job like 1 month after the training, 2 months, is about the time they put into preparing. Tired as talking, you might see her like, oh, she's so bright talking about this thing today. She has a book where she was transitioning. I still see it at home. Like every single possible questions, like she has an answer planned. Now think about if you do that and you have revised, your practice your many, many times. When you go there, it is a natural conversation. It is not me thinking. Of course, there are some things that you didn't plan for that will happen, but you would have done enough for them to say, hey, plus your soft skills, but the fact that you have structure and confidence, you'd have done enough for them to bank on you. Nobody expects you to be 100 in interview. Nobody is 100, really 100. So just do enough to show that, I am good, I know all these things. So yes, it's the right thing to do. Get your notebook, and it starts from today, right? So we've done this, as you know, your cohort is cohort 7. We've learned many lessons, a lot. And some of these things we are telling you are accumulation of lesson. Can you even imagine how many interview experience we've like condensed into the knowledge we're dishing out? A lot, more than 200 interviews that so when you start to go to interview, we say record it when you can. You send it to us. That's your tailored feedback. So we can also give you tailored feedback and say, hey, you can do this better here, do this better, and helps you. But yeah, really happy you guys are getting the mindset, and the mindset is very key. You can get a job in less than 1 month, less than 30 days, but it will depend on what you do now going forward. You need to see yourself as a business analyst that is just out of job temporarily and needs to get back on the job. Now, if that is the case, you will forget about what you're currently doing now, because that thing is not taking you to where you really want to go. That is why you've come here to enroll. Now you've done that, I tell you, history would favor you because you've done the hard thing that most people will not do. You've positioned yourself. So just see yourself as a business analyst that is temporarily out of job, and I need to get back in job in 30 days. What will I do if that's my mindset? It's going to be different from, oh, I'm doing what I do, my comfort zone. That comfort zone, if you choose to do the comfort zone, it's not going to take you anywhere. So let's get into how, again, this would help you really cement all what you've learned in the last 12, 11, 10 weeks. And this is, again, launch of my ebook, and it's called the Interview Guide, Winning Project Ideas for Success. Now, why is this important? Again, we're talking to most of you who have not done the job of a business analyst, projectized from start to finish. You have gotten a lot of exposure, fortunately, on this program to do the job of a business analyst. But some of you might not really think about it that way yet. I want to say, okay, what actually happens, right, on a project? So we will not talk about understanding landscape, all of this. You can read it later. You know that there's opportunity. We will just skip and talk about the importance of project ideas. Tell me about yourself question and why it's so important to your interview process. Tailoring your project ideas, because again, think about it. In this guide, we've condensed 10 years of my experience, right? So real life project experience. Now, does that mean that I've worked in all domains? No. It's impossible for one person to work in all the different domains available. It is not possible. So if I'm looking for a job in the next 30 days, should I say, okay, because I have extensive experience in fintech, I have experience in energy, I have experience computer hardware, telecommunication, I should only focus on those industry? The answer is no. The answer is no. I can apply my skill as a business, the core skills as a business analyst in any domain. What I need to do when I get on the job or before I get from the interview, I've started that process, research that domain, really fill my brain with it as much as I need to know about that domain. Say, for example, I need to get into crypto. Let's even say something very interesting. A company building crypto application, helping people that want to invest in crypto. Maybe I don't know a lot about crypto. I have not really worked in that environment. And that's why I'm using that experience, that example. What will I do? Will I say, no, I'm not going to apply to that job? No, I would apply to the job, tailor my resume. Basically, they might ask for some niche things. I will tailor my resume all the same. Apply. Say they call me. What do? I will go to the company first, check all the things they do about crypto, learn. Like 1 hour, 2 hours, learn about that company, research their competitors. Where do they start? When did they form this company? What are they trying to do? Now go and learn, okay, what is crypto? How did they facilitate crypto? What are the different type of crypto instruments we have? The different type of cryptocurrency. I was trying to at least know some. so that when I go there, it's like dating, right? I'm sure like most of us we've dated before. You want to date somebody, are you going to get the best result if you're going on that date without doing any work of, like, even knowing what this person likes, where, what, like, at least some things you can find on the internet about that person, right? I remember one time, my wife told me, like earlier when we were dating, my wife told me, oh, my parent actually went to check your Facebook out to know like the kind of person you are. I was like screaming like, oh my God, all these my terrible pictures from 10 years, 12 years ago, where I'm like, uh, my money grows like weed, all those crappy t-shirt then, So like, it was just, it was just funny that I didn't even think that, somebody go and check my Facebook. So it was like, but I see what they are trying to do. You give them an indication of the kind of person to an extent, right? Okay, what's this person? It's the same thing. The more information you have, the more you can connect, the more you can have a flow in that interview. And that's why it's so important to do that research, right? So, as you know my name, so for you, I'm just going to skip all of this. But I think I should mention this. Understanding the tech landscape is very important. The key thing is that tech is everywhere. We can see it all around. No need to flog that. Tech is infused in all industry. And that is why whatever you're doing now is so valuable. Your experience, even if you work in care, in whatever, that experience is very important. And I tell you, I think I've mentioned it before. Some of our guys that got job, like that experience of knowing that industry has opened door for at least 3, 4, 5. I'll tell you, because they got opportunity with a company that is in that sector, and they are like they want. And I think I mentioned earlier this, if you go to Seek and you go and you check, some of these business analysts they are required in hospitality, they are required in disability sector. There are jobs there, and your extensive experience in that industry is also very important, can be the difference for you. So transitioning is not a big deal. Don't see it like you're doing something that, oh, I should be hiding, or I should be proud of it. You're doing something heroic. It's not easy. Many people cannot do what you're doing. So your skill is needed. In fact, organization want diversity, people who have solid domain experience. And then you've married it with the skill of a business analyst, which is a high level skill of thinking, of critical thinking and problem solving. That's what business analyst is about. Problems. And that's why AI can't replace you, because you're solving problems, you're analyzing situation, talking to people to solve problems. So your skill is very important, first of all. But there are barriers, right? And you've seen some of them. It's not easy to get job as a business analyst if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why we explain the robustness of how you need to tackle your application, your CV, and all of those things, so you optimize your chance of getting interview. And I promise you do well, you get interviews. Now, there are other bias, of course. There's systemic racism. I don't want to go into those one pity party, because we want to be so good that we break the barriers. So we don't care about systemic racism that exists. Prioritizing Australian experience, you get that by default with us. Jason's solution, we solved that one for you. So that one is a barrier that you should not. But there's a barrier that is about you, which is like fear, imposter syndrome, all of those things. You need to have active engagement going forward with business analysts, with yourselves, the community, with people who are working, just to know what is possible, right? So people like us, whenever you're in doubt, ask. People that have gone through the program are working, ask them what's their day to day, what are their, how is the journey. learn more, be in that conversation, go on LinkedIn, check people in that industry, connect, learn more, it will get you excited. That is how you break down the limitations of fear, imposter syndrome, and all of those obstacles. Those one is internal. You have to solve that fear. Like you don't have any fear because you have the skill and the right, competence to do the job, right? So let's go into some of the tips I'll quickly share about presenting projects, right? To present your project effectively in an interview, which is one core part of your tell me about yourself question that, and its variation that they ask you in interview. Like when you get on interview, the first thing they would literally want to know is either your motivation to apply to that job. They want to know about you, right? So they ask that question in different sort of ways, like tell us about yourself, or what motivated you to apply, what interests you to apply for this job, or let's get to know you. Like different variation is all in the same thing. So, like I was saying earlier, you need to know your audience, like dating, right? You need to know what this company does, right? You do that analysis. You're a business analyst, so you do that. You need to start to showcase your business analyst skill even before the actual interview. So I always say there's power in repetition. All the things I know today is because I've done it for 10 years in terms of business, and I've done it for 10 years. It's not like I'm smarter than anybody. It's just that I've done it so much repeatedly. And these days I do it like every single day, so why would I not know what I'm doing? I live and breathe this thing. So there's nothing like smart. Like some people, when you hear, oh, somebody is smart in this thing, somebody is intelligent in this thing, it's really a function of their experiences, what they've seen, the information they've consumed, and how they've walked through that and connected to it. That's what it is. We all came to this world blank. We knew nothing. So the more exposure you get, the more information you get, the more numbers you crunch, all of those things form how much insight you have. And that's why when you say some things, because of the insight you have, people will say, oh yeah, this person is smart, this person is, it will affect the decisions you make. And people can say, this person is smart, this person knows what they are doing. So the point here is that repetition is what you should. Like Kemi said, I'm going to buy a book. I've bought a book. I am going to be practicing this thing. That's repetition. I'm going to go to class and watch it again. That's repetition. And I tell you, if you forget all what I've said today, just remember there's power in repetition. That thing you think you don't know, go and watch it 3 times over. Every time you watch it, you have new insight and perspective, and it will start to make more sense to you. So there's power in repetition. It takes 10,000 hours to learn any skill. 10,000 hours. I'm not the one that said or did that research. But fortunately, as a business analyst, you don't need 10,000 hours to master it. You don't need that. So just point here is revise. Watch the class again, jot it down, take note, things like that. The second thing, after you know your audience, like where you're interviewing, and as I said yesterday, you even go, if you see their name in the email, they might put the people that will be on the panel. Try and do a quick research on LinkedIn. Most people are on LinkedIn. You might be able to even put a face to that person that you meet in the interview. That helps a lot psychologically, right? And for me, like when I used to interview, I'll check, okay, this person has 10 years experience. Oh, great. Okay. I would look at what they've done in their career. I would say, this one is actually just has a BSc. Imagine me that have double master self. I'm smarter than this guy. I'm gassing myself up, literally. Like, hey, I'm even more qualified than this guy. What does he want to? I'll go and, why you them? That's me, like preparing mentally. Like, hey, this is, and sometimes, oh, director, okay, that prepares me mentally to say, okay, director is going to be on this panel. How do I start to present my responses? Because people that are director level, management level, they want they want a summarized view, like get to the point, right? Don't blab around. They want a summarized insight. They don't have time. So you must know your audience. And if it's just like where we explained the other day, we have the strategic people, we have the tactical people, and we have the operations people. Like if you have more of the operations people, like people that are just, okay, business analysts, they want to ask you questions like, oh, what is prioritization? What is user story? What is this thing? But if I have a CEO or a director in the interview, he probably doesn't even know what prioritization is, user story. He just wants to know, how can you add value to my organization? So you see that knowing your audience helps you prepare as well. It's very important. And also, as you go through different stages, stage one might be interviewing with the operational guys or the tactical guys, maybe a manager and a business analyst. They might be asking you, how do you write user story? How do you write requirement? How do you manage stakeholder? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe you pass that. Step two, you're meeting with the CTO. It might not be, you already know it's not going to be about the technical thing more or less, because they are not into that. It might be, okay, how are you going to handle difficult stakeholders? How are you going to, add value to this project you're working on as a business? And walk me through how you manage project end to end. Those are kind of questions you will be getting at that level. So preparation and knowing your audience is very key. Now, it's not enough to just know them and just say, okay, that is all. The next thing, you want to structure your presentation, right? So you want to say, okay, this is how I would, if I get this type of question, this is my methodology of answering question. It gives me structure in my head. Now, everything we teach you, you've seen a lot of life cycle, you've seen a lot of methodology, you've seen a lot of techniques. You've seen a lot of frameworks, tools. It's for a reason. We taught you all of those things so that you have structure. When we're talking about project management, the life cycle, software development, life cycle, all of these things is a structure. So it's not like a scattered approach. So I'm a business and I don't even know how to actually approach something. I'm just like, oh, where do I start from? No. So having a structure is important. And this is one of the most important things. That structure is going to help you not beat about the bush, getting to the point. Getting to the point. Oh, I just got a news. Olayinka, you have a news for us. Where's Olayinka? Is Olayinka here?
She's probably hiding, I know.
Olayinka, talk now. Motivate somebody.
You should be excited. Like,
Oh yeah, talk to Olayinka. What's the news?
okay, so on
Mhm.
last week Saturday, I watched the previous squad session because it was on the platform. So I went through it and I saw the ATS. So I was able to go through my CV and do the scan.co stuff. So I applied for a couple of jobs on Saturday. I wasn't expecting anything. I was just doing it for just doing it.
Yeah.
And yesterday at work, I got an email for a telephone interview.
Wow. Congrats. So
I haven't accepted it yet
what you see why? All right, tell us why you've not accepted
because I really don't know what to say when I get the call.
it. It's all right. You'll be all right. Uh, all right. So we're gonna tackle that, but you can already see, right? These things work. If you put your work, if you put work to it, like you put effort, you're gonna get interviewed. That's we are not worried about will you get interviewed. That's a guarantee. As long as you apply the strategy, get interviewed. What do you do? Now at the end of this class, I'm believing Olayinka, you have more insight to go and tackle that interview. Accept it first and
Okay.
crush fear. Accept the interview. We should always accept everything because first of all, let's think about it this way. If I go to an interview and in my mind, let's just say that it's possible to fail an interview, and I fail that interview, have I truly failed or have I learned? That is the question. Have I really failed the interview or have I increased my experience and my learning of what to do and what not to do? That is the question I want everybody to reflect. Never turn down an opportunity. Some of you may know we have this big opportunity on Monday to go to the Parliament House. By the way, I'm from Nigeria. I have never been in Aso Rock before all my life. Never been invited, never known somebody that has been invited all my life. I'm just a regular person, but right? I sent so many cold emails to a lot of companies for collaboration with Sync Skills and just to get our people opportunity, things like that. Many ghosted, just like you experience in your job interview. Some will be ghosting, some will call you, especially if you do the right strategy. Right? It's the same experience. Yeah, it's not cool sometimes, but you move on, you try, you move on, you keep trying. What's the point? We hit a jackpot. We got shortlisted for this one. We're going to the Parliament House, Australia, where there will be more than 800 guests. Prime Minister, people are watching the TV, and it is just a dream of, oh, I don't even plan that I would be in a room having conversation with this type of people ever. Like, what would make me be in that type of room, really? Until now. Do you think we have fears? Just think about it. Think about it. I've never done a demo of this magnitude where truly the prime minister might come. Certainly the MPs, senators are coming. I've seen the guest list. There's a VIP. I have a VIP. And the team. So think about that for a second. What is the fear? I still think, oh, that's not my place. I'm not sure that's my tribe. That's my people. My people is when I come here and talk to you guys. I'm happy, So, do you think that we have fears? We do. Do you think we're terrified? We do. What are we doing to cope? Focusing on the upside, the opportunities. What's the worst that will happen? Whenever the fear creeps in that, oh my God, they'll televise these things. We're the only black company, all of those things. Our application, right? Is it even up to scratch? There's the Google of this world, YouTube of this world coming. I'm seeing space technology, AI, all of these things. I'm like, oh, Sync Skills, really? We're just 2 years, right? So we have fears. We're not telling you something we don't challenge ourselves and do. What's the worst that will happen? The worst that will happen is I build connection. Yeah, even if our app does not work, there's an error, it's fine. I will explain it. I'll face the fears. I would have photo opportunity. I would have put sync skills on the map. It's already on the map. I will have experience being in the parliament house. I can show my child, my children. That is what you should think about. What are the positives? So accept that interview. The worst they say is no, and you learn from it, and that's your experience. So let's not entertain fear. Focus on the positive. I can only learn from this experience, and it will do me so well for my next opportunity. And do you know what? We didn't say no. I almost said no also to not accepting the invite, because I felt at that time our app was not ready. I don't want to embarrass my lineage and myself in front of the camera. But I came around, I'm like, nah, we will give this a go. And our tech is in the right place where I feel, yeah, we're confident to go there and shine. But do you know what happened? Now, I've not cold emailed any company. As a result of that opportunity, the fact that it's on Tech Council's website publicized, I'm now getting emails, right, for big events. Over 2,000 people come in October. Since you should be part of it. Next week, I have a meeting. Can you imagine that? People are now sending us inbound emails for collaboration. What is the story? Always try. Even when even when you feel like you're out of place, this is bigger than you. Just keep trying. The upside is bigger than whatever. They tell me no. That's fine. I'm going to learn from that experience on what to do and what not to do, or at least it's my experience. Or they tell me yes, I get that job. Bam. Maybe you need sponsorship. They give you sponsorship. Bam. What is the upside? One thing that was shared, one lady that got UK, sponsorship and everything, she said, if they told me that the role was a senior business analyst role, I wouldn't have applied. Think about that for a second. She said, I wouldn't have applied because I really just applied for a business analyst, which they like advertised. When the offer came, they gave me senior business analyst and sponsorship. That's another lesson. When you see a title and stuff, are you denying yourself the opportunity? Think about it. And these are real things that happen. Imposter syndrome, it happens to all of us. Back to the talk. Structure. This is another thing. And like I was saying, rather than let fear cripple us, what do? We say we'll research all the MPs that are coming. What is their constituent? What do they like? Like what were they passionate about? All of those things, right? That is part of the things we're doing. And is it serious work? It is. It's more than 100 MPs coming that we're researching. Let's know a bit about them. We don't know any of them. And that's what we're saying you should do. In your interview, you want a structural approach. And there's a popular one, STAR method, or SOAR method, or storytelling method, anyone you want to do. What is STAR method? The situation. Because everything you do in life, context is key. What situation were you? Okay, was the company trying to improve a process, or they were trying to implement a new system, or they just had issues with something, a process, right? Or they want to enhance something, or they want to do some analysis. What was the situation? Tax. What did you do as a business analyst? Like what were you required to do? Were you required to improve the process, working with stakeholders? Or were you required to generate a business case document? Or was it to create some business requirement document or project plan? What was the task? Right? Action. what did you do? Simply, what action did you take? And how is result? What was the result? Now that gives me a framework like, oh, okay. They ask me, what situation, like, how do you manage difficult stakeholders? Bam. I want to use STAR method. I'll say, oh, there was this occasion on a project I was working on where we were trying to implement a new CRM system for an organization, right? Situation. I've given them context, the situation. Okay, so what happened? What was the task? Right? So during the requirement gathering session, with different stakeholders from different departments across customer service, legal, compliance team, software development team, etc. More context, right? There was conflict between department from customer success team and the legal and compliance team, right? Tax, I need to resolve that situation to be able to move forward with my session, because there was a clash on requirement on what should be done. Action. What I did was to explain again, pointing them back to the project objective, evaluating both of their requirement and what their conflict is about, understanding that first. Now, explaining and evaluating the impact of the both requirement on overall project objective, right? And I favored the one I created a win-win situation, explaining the impact on one requirement over the other. The one that adds more benefit to the project is what we went with. And I explained why. Because it's going to add to the bottom line, right? Which I then explained to the person that, the other stakeholder that was a logger, the legal guys, that, hey, if we make money here, it's going to mean that all of us enjoy that benefit so like that's me creating a win-win situation. The result, everybody was happy. We were able to suit the situation and move forward with our requirement gathering session. Now, you've used the STAR method, could be better, but that's the idea. Like, does that make sense to anyone? Can we all turn on our camera, please? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right? You see, the context is key. All of those things are key for you to be successful. So that's an approach. You think about, what was the situation? What task was I supposed to do? What was the action I did? What was the result? Now, you're not like, okay, how do I start this response? So for all your questions, you're not like lost on, okay, this question now, how do I tackle it? How do I, like, where do I even start from? What do I say? You want to think about situation, what project situation, what was happening, this task in relation to the problem or the question they asked me. Does that make sense? All right. So it is very important to have a structure. Another one is, so I don't really like this, but it works for some people. You talk about your strength, opportunities, the aspiration, and the result. Right? So those are more for like behavioral questions. Where do you need to see yourself in 5 years? Where do you need to see yourself in, like, how do you think your leadership skills? All those kind of behavioral questions, we know them, right? So you can use this SWOT method Storytelling method is just thinking about a time you did something. Like I was explaining something and I went into a story and told you a story, right, about parliament and all the rejection I suffered, right? You can do that because they might not remember all the things you say, but if they can remember a good story. So was the story good or not? Did the story inspire anybody?
Yeah, that was nice. Good.
Huh?
Yeah, it
That's
was
it.
inspiring.
Thank you. At least it inspires somebody. So that is how somebody will be memorable. You might say, I don't have a lot of story. No, you do. You certainly do. Think about the time you were doing the assignment, but in this way, you will not talk about it as an assignment. Oh, they say, tell us about your experience drawing a flow or implementing business process automation, notation, right? So what's your story there if you want to use story? Oh, there was a project where I was required to draw a swim lane or a process flow to help us map out visually, the processes for a food order application or a CRM application, right? And I used tax. I needed to deliver it in 1 week. You can chicken that. Oh, it was a tight deadline project. I needed to deliver it in 3 days. How many days did you guys have to deliver that? How many days did you guys have? Or how many did you use to do the assignment?
We just had like 3
Yeah, about
nights.
4 days. Yeah, 3 nights or 4 days. 4 days.
Yeah? You see, you can tap into that. Oh, considering the magnitude of this project, I had only 4 days to map out the entire flow for the CRM process. What did I do? I had to prioritize what is the first process that development team needed to do. Does this make any sense? Huh? So you see, you already have experience. You don't need to manufacture too many. You can just convert your assessment, experience into a story or star method, whatever. Answer the question. Because most of the questions they'll be asking you are things that you already did in assessment. Bearing just a few, maybe some domain specific thing, like maybe they say Salesforce, things like that. So structure is very important. I think this is one of the most important parts. Structure. You need to have structure to go to an interview and shine. If you don't have structure, you're just going to be fumbling around, like talking, having incoherent story that is just everywhere and uninteresting. So I would say, after you do your research on the company, the next important thing is having a structure. How am I going to answer this question? Right? And then you need to practice active listening. Now, this is another thing where people suffer. What is active listening? During interview, you're just absent-minded or you're too nervous to actually even understand the question being asked. Or you feel like you know the answer, you just jump into responding without actually digesting and say, okay, oh, thank you for that. Like some of you, not you anyway, we've not done, but just note when they ask you a question, just breathe a second. Like, don't just jump into, even if you feel like, I know this answer, I've prepared, bam, I want to just fire out. Just understand, breathe a second. You know, you can say, oh, thank you so much for that question, Kemi. You can call them by their first name. Like you're building connection, like you know them. And it shows that you're confident. Oh, thank you for that question. Oh, that's a very interesting one. Even if you don't know the answer, it buys you some minute to actually think about, okay, how can I tackle this? Just beat about the bush a bit in a smart way. Oh, thank you so much for that question. Wow, that's a really interesting one there. Let me think. Tayo is the master of that. She can beat about the bush, but is a way to buy time in a very interesting, just to give yourself some minute. Even I have learned, when I see her interviewing, because you're like, oh wow, that is great. You might not truly know the answers, right? Rather than like, you know, you just do it in a very smooth, tactful way. Even if you come back and say, I'm not too sure, not, I can't just pull anything from my mind right now. Actually, can we come back to this one? You've not even said no, right? You see what I've done there? Like, you've not said no. You've just kind of tactically told them, let's skip this one. But if you're like going overdrive, like, they've gotten me last. They've gotten me. Problem. Noah did not tell me this one. No, how? Eh? So please know that there are soft skills, body mannerism that even if you're not expected to know all the things 100%. Nobody knows 100%. You're interviewing me. It's not like you've giving me questions beforehand. So I don't know what question you want to ask me, but I should be sound enough to at least answer majority of your question. But if there's one or two I don't actually know, these are some of the ways you can get around that. So please practice active listening to what they are saying for meaning, not just to respond. Listen for meaning, right? Listen for meaning. I think that's like very clear. It's very important because if you don't, you bungle the question. You can spend time talking about things that are just like you're playing penalty in your net. On goal. You get. So please. Now, this is where people win and lose. So sometimes it's not really about your technical skills. We've seen it time and time, and that's why I want to spend time here. It's not for you to go to that interview and show pessimism. You might not know, but you're showing implicit pessimism. You're not confident. Have we seen salespeople? Like, have you seen like good salespeople that even if they are selling you rubbish, you might want to believe that, I will not buy this thing like this. Eh? Have we seen or experienced that before? They be talking confidently. I mean, you will be second guessing yourself, like, but this thing is not true. But I like, really, that's the kind of confidence you need to. Like, face me. Eh? I'm talking to you. Eh? I want to see your demeanor. Like, when you go there on Tuesday, you just know it doesn't matter. You're not required to know everything. Go with an open mind. Go like you're going on a date with a friend you're genuinely interested in. If you have that mindset that you're going on a date in an interview, you have more success because you're not nervous or tense. You genuinely show enthusiasm, like, hey, I want you guys, and I've done my research on you, and I'm gonna try and answer the question, the best way I know. That's all you can do. But your best will be fed by your preparation anyway. And that's why we've talked about you must do that preparation. But show enthusiasm. You can be the best in the room. They will not hire you because you're just like this all the time. Remember, when they hire you, they are hiring a colleague. Nobody wants to hire a sulking colleague or colleague that's not really sure they want to be here. And to them, it might just be nerves to you, not showing your true self, but they don't know. Remember, people that will be on the panel, some of them might be your colleague. Going forward, you want to show that you're a nice person to work with. That is more important than anything. And that's why I say, punch fear in the face. I never want to be known as somebody that was just too scared to take action. I think all the good things that have happened to me in my life, and I'm not rich or anything, but are the things that I have really said, damn it, I'm going to go for this thing. Just say whatever. Right? We do YouTube. Sometimes I feel like I'm crap about it, right? Like I'm recording, I'm like, hell, a business analyst is somebody that, caught, a business analyst is like it's hard. Oh, I know this thing, but I'm trying to shoot and talk to a camera. Like it's crazy. Like I am like, caught. But you keep trying. I'm not like saying, I want to go viral or anything. I just think about one person just needs to watch this thing and get value. Oh, even if nobody gets value, if I do a video and I'm satisfied that I will watch it, like I would get value, I'm saying something because of course I research it, I know I'm saying something that can help somebody, it's okay. I use it as my own personal journal. 10 years, I'll show my children that I tried this, I tried that. I was pretty crap at it, but at least I tried. And yeah, some of our videos are there. Literally, some people will call me and say, I saw your videos that probably have 25 views, right? Last 2 weeks, somebody called me from the UK and said, I looked for video on YouTube to teach me integration, and I couldn't find anyone that just explained the way that I wanted. And then I saw your video. I'm like, which video is that? I saw that it was this video I did 1 year ago on Zoom. Of course, not even just on Zoom with somebody that I was preparing for interview. I just posted it there, like, whatever, just put it there. And that spoke to me that, I checked number of views, 25 views. Oh, yeah, okay. But she resonated and learned a lot that she reached out and said, she needs help and this and that and that. So the point is, you don't need to be perfect to add value. Punch fear in the face. You have so much value to add to this organization. You're going on a date to showcase how great you are and that you have some insight and you can add value to them. Go there, not be nervous, and let nerves kill your performance, kill your true potential. Go there and have fun. Today I was listening to a podcast about Australian tech recruitment landscape. Like recruitment, hiring has moved from a one-sided conversation to both the candidates and the employer, they are interviewing each other. And that was not me saying it. They were like, okay, before, interviews here in Australia is about employer asking you question, and at the end, you just ask some clarifying question. Nowadays, there's candidate experience. There's candidate experience. So some candidate are bold. They will ask you, oh, what do you have to offer? Like they ask question to genuinely know about the company and if it really aligns with that. Yeah, you're trying to get your first job in the industry is fine. I get it. It takes time. But as you grow and you want to change job, later, you're not going to be desperate about it. You're going to be in a job and maybe you want to change job and you already have a job. You go to interview and genuinely ask questions like, hey, what can you guys offer? What's your culture? Like, you really want to know because you have nothing to lose. It's just like me going for an interview now. I really don't want a job. I don't want to work for anyone. So if you even call me, they call me every week, even though I've applied 1 year ago. They call me every week to still say I should send my updated resume. They have this opportunity for me. I'm like, leave me alone, right? I have people, I send it on the group when I can. But the point is, if I decide to go for an interview, it would never be a one-way conversation, like you just asking me question. I will prepare a list of questions I want to ask because I have nothing to lose. So, and that insight hit me like, true, if I'm going for interview now, I'm not going to be like nervous or anything. I'm just going to go there and talk to you. If you give me, well, if you don't give me, bam, I'm not desperate about the job. The point here is don't show too much desperation and let nerves kill you before you actually shine. And we can't say this. Be prepared for questions. And we will send you bank of questions. You will come for interview prep. You would have answered questions. You'll be prepared for most of the questions. It's very important. When you're prepared and you've done all these steps, trust me, you're just going to have better outcomes in interview. I've seen it too many times. And overall, practice, and practice. Just like what we said here, power and repetition. You practice. The difference between person that will get job in 1 month and 1 year is how much time they practice and get ready for the opportunity. Now let's quickly chat about why project ideas is even important. Especially for many of you guys that have not done the project, and I think I mentioned, it is important so that you can get better outcomes in interview. You can draw from actual experience. End-to-end project you've actually prepared is like portfolio. So UI UX designers, right? If they do a program like this, they have a portfolio they would have done. They'll have mock-ups. Data scientists, they might have like a dashboard they've built as their portfolio. So these project ideas is kind of like building a portfolio for you, because the work you do, you don't need to actually go and do a prototype or do a dashboard of report or insight on Tableau and all those things. You just need to have a portfolio of project that you can know that you've done in your mind. You conceptualize it. Even if you've not done it actually, but you kind of like build portfolio, because the one thing employers want are people that have experience and skills. You have skills. This will help you build more experience beyond what you've done in class and tie everything together. So you did all these things in piecemeal. You did business case, project plan, you did diagrams, you did user story, requirement on different things, right? Now, this will help you bring everything together as one project. And you can go and talk about it end to end, which would ultimately lead to better outcomes in interviews. Also, it will be a deviation from just theory. It won't be about theory. Oh, I just read this project. I'm not really sure about what the project is about. Right? And again, as I said, portfolio. You have something in your mind, tangible, that you can walk through and say, here is the project I did. This is what I did during initiation phase. I work with different stakeholders to come up with the business case, right? Which is the idea of the project, justification of the project. And during planning phase, I was involved with working with the team to create a project plan consisting of the work breakdown structure, the different communication plan, risk management plan, all of those plans you develop, right? You talk about, during execution phase, what did I do? Working with the development team or this business stakeholder and using my requirement elicitation technique to what? To document, understand their requirement, to document their requirement, the functional requirement, non-functional requirement, or if it's stories or epics, whatever. And what do you do with that? Translating that to technical documentation, like BLD document, your user stories, your epic, your backlog, that shows that, at every stage you've done something, right? And I also draw swim lanes, process flow, bam. It shows that, using tools like Visio, Lucidchart, Draw.io, I say, that person knows tools as well. I also support the testing team during the verification and validation phase so that we ensure that the solution has met the requirement, the business justification for that. This person also knows testing. Right? Overall, this project delivered on its project objective, which is to do XYZ. Right? On time, on budget. Bam! I've talked about my project in like 90 or 2 minutes. But if I don't know it, how long do you think it will take me? I would just be trying to think about, gosh, where do I start from? What do I say? Where do I, So project ideas, because you don't have, and trust me, it's not even because you've not done full end-to-end project. There are people that actually have worked before, but they can't still articulate their project well in interviews. And that's why you have unique opportunity to beat them. You have the unique opportunity to beat them because you're hot from this program. You have experience. You have all the insight. You have all the guidance. They will feel like, 10 years ago, if I'm not in this ecosystem doing this thing we do, I've applied more than 1 year ago. The market changes every time. I'm not looking at the market because I have a job. So by the time I'm coming back to the market, if I rely on my insight from 1 year ago, market has moved. I will not be effective. You are going to be effective because you're in the now. You learn all this strategy. You have your project. You go there. You're hot. You're hot. You get a job. It's an advantage for you. But you'll not be hot if you've not practiced it. So can I get a gauge of if this is making sense or it's just too complex?
It's making sense.
Yeah,
It's
Teji, making sense?
actually making sense.
Aminant? Anybody else? Are we getting it? Does this make sense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is, I tell you, what has secured many people jobs, like 6-figure jobs. So we know what we are saying. You do all these things religiously, you're going to get a job. And as I said, you're a business analyst that is temporarily out of job at the moment. Now, let's talk about one question that you would almost never escape in interviews. And why is this important? Imagine you're going to an interview. Let's even say, after all said and done, you're still a bit nervous. Like you're still a bit nervous. But you have one question that starts that interview and you're 100% prepared for. Like you're sure. Like I give you, just don't want to, I don't know if our Kenyan friends will know. We call something expo, like cheat. You see exam question in front of you before the exam, right? That's the idea. Like one, you can ask people around. If they don't ask you as tell me about yourself, they can ask you what interests you in this position, or why do you believe this role is suitable for you, or what do you know about this company, or like the different variation. So if you know that this question is going to be asked, what are you going to do about it? Is my question to you. Like I have head start already that they're going to ask me this question, and I'm saying today to you that you will give them the best answer that any candidate could possibly give. Because what? You've prepared, you've done all the research, you've practiced it like crazy, and you have a structure that you're just going to go and deliver. Bam. That is unfair advantage. And this is your unfair advantage because I bet you most of you would get this question as your first interview question. It might not be exactly tell me about yourself. It has variant, as I said. What interests you in applying? Why is this role suitable for you? Tell us about your experience. All of those things they ask you. Just to gauge the room again. Have you ever gone into an interview and they asked you this question before?
Of course.
Yeah, of course, right? I think most of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So my question is, what are you going to do about it? This is a cheat question they are going to definitely ask you. So I have seen it throughout coaching, my own experience of so many people. They just ask you this question, right? Tell me about yourself. What motivates you to apply for this role? What do you enjoy most about being a business analyst? All of these things are similar way to answer them, right? So when you prepare for this question, even if you have nerves, you are not going to be dumb. Like when they ask you, you will talk. So because you've prepared, you will just flow. You've prepared, you've practiced and all of those. You have structure. You will just flow. You would flow using your what we call project elevator pitch, which we talked about yesterday. Elevator pitch is like somebody meets you. So if somebody meets you today and they say, hey, Teji, how are you? And you're like, maybe you're just meeting them. Say, oh, tell me about yourself today. Let's not even think about it like business analyst or not. What are you going to say? Do you have that pitch prepared? Because the answer you give is a recollection of you, right? Is what they will recall, like, oh, this person told me that I'm into this, or I'm this, or I like this, or that, and blah, 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 right? But if you're going for a business analyst interview, you're not just going to tell them the way you're going to answer a random person, a random friend on the street. So that elevator pitch is like, how am I going to show up and sell myself as a business analyst in that interview in between 2 to 3 minutes? Like we said, some people's 3 minutes, they still want to listen because they've prepared like crazy. But like if you don't prepare, your 90 seconds can feel like a ball. Like, what is he saying? Like, what is she saying? What is he saying? I can't pick up the point. Because again, no structure, you're not prepared for it. So go with that advantage and say, hey, I know you're going to ask me this without you telling me. So I'm going to prepare I've done all those things we talked about, right? And it will enhance your confidence. First of all, by default, you will be clear and coherent, which will give a very good perception about you, right? And you'll be able to convey your thoughts, articulate it. You have control. Because that first question will just settle you in. It would settle your nerves. Like if you get through that question well, then yeah, you're breathing like, oh, good. I've gotten that, at least I've talked. Great. And if you do it so well, sometimes you might have answered 2, 3 other questions they have. I've seen it happen before. They will say, oh, wow, that was such an elaborate response. Actually, you've answered 2 or 3 of our questions, so we're going to skip to the next one. That's how good you can prepare that pitch. So the question is really, how can I sell myself as a business analyst in 2-minute max? That's the challenge you have. And we'll help you, we'll leave you hanging. So I've developed a framework, right? It is Yoruba in nature, but it is very easy to understand. Just 3 words. ORO. How do you pronounce this in Yoruba?
Sorosuke.
Let's not confuse
It
our
depends. It depends.
Don't give it another meaning. Just stick to the one with
Okay.
Oro, which in English is word, right? But it's just a framework that, like, just funky, just so you can remember. ORO. What is O? Like, there's so many things you can put into your tell me about myself or your elevator pitch. So many things, right? It's just like if somebody tells you, tell me about, like, introduce yourself, right? And you're like 40 years or 30 years or 20 years. You want to condense that experience into like 2, 3 minutes. There's so many angles, there's so many things you want to talk about, or you can possibly talk about. So in this context, this framework will help you just think about things in a very simple way. What is the objective, my project objective, which is simply like, what are the things that made us do that project? Like, why was that project necessary? What were we looking to achieve on that project? Those 3 things will just help you remember what the project objective was, right? And that will provide the context that they need. Because if you can answer that question, like, what was the reason why we did that project? I can quickly answer it. Like, if I even forget and I just say, okay, I'm going to implement this ORO framework. O is project objective. I need to talk about the project or why we did that. I will quickly formulate something, right? And the next one, roles and responsibilities. What did I do as a business analyst? Like, how did I add value to that project? It's simply seeing yourself working with a team. All the things you'll be doing in class, right? You've worked on business case, you understand requirement elicitation, you know how to draw flow, you know how to write requirement, functional, non-functional, you know how to write test cases, you know how to prioritize, you know how to estimate, you know agile methodology. All of those things could be things you did as a business analyst. You just choose and pick a few that, of course, you can't talk about everything. A few that is relevant to the project you're talking about. And the last thing, outcome. Because what is the point of me doing a project and you doing all this thing as a business analyst without talking about the outcome of that project? It's very important because that's the tangible thing that you need to get through. So this is just a simple way, a simple framework to think about. When they ask me that, tell me about yourself, you know that I need to just talk about objective. Like, of course, there's still a bit more things you used to build up, but just to talk about that particular thing when it comes to your project. This is when it comes to your project, because you must still tell them, oh, I'm a business analyst with 5 years experience working in different domain and sector. I've worked in this industry and that. Just your bio kind of, right? And then you build up. So when it comes to talking about your project, you will use this framework. So you're not all over the place like, hey, how am I going to talk about this project? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, team?
Yes.
Yep. All right. So now, this is what I was talking about. A structure to help you with your tell me about yourself response, which is again your elevator pitch. Now I'll go into territory of the thing we discussed yesterday as well. Introduction. Oh, I'm a business analyst with 6 years or 5 years experience working in healthcare, insurance, whatever domain, right? You're giving them a snippet of what you are and what you've done, career or experience or overview, right? You tell them as well, what industry have you worked on, what project? You just give them highlight. I've worked on several projects ranging from CRM project to ARP to process improvement project to data migration to whatever project you have in your arsenal that you want to talk about. Snapshot, because you still talk about them using this ORO framework, right? So then the next thing will be calling out some critical skills that you have. Oh, in my experience as a business analyst, I have great communication skills. You will not just say communication skills and leave it like that, because that is a lie. Oh, I have great communication skills, problem solving skills, analytical skills. That is a lie. How do I know? You're talking to a stranger. If you say I have communication skills, you need to add flesh. Like how? Oh, I have great communication skills. My role as a business analyst, I have to work with different stakeholders to engage them in workshops, interviews, and also document my project plan, business case, right requirement, all of that to make sure I provide clarity to the implementation team or the development team. Oh, now you're talking. Because if I can't communicate, I can't run all those sessions. I can't create all the documentation. That's evidence of the skills that you're calling out. You see how it's different from just saying, oh, I have communication skills, great communication skills. Hallelujah. Are we together?
Yes.
All right. Let's turn on our camera. I don't like when more than half of the class.
No, I just want to quickly say something, if that's okay, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, is it to make sure that your video is not covering the screen altogether? Because sometimes when we will watch those videos, the I don't know what to call it.
It's covering
Yes, and something like this, we might have to read it again. So I'm just like looking into the future when someone might have to go back to it and we can't even read it again.
Good call out. So
Thank you.
I've extended it, but yeah, I'll call you get the ebook. Right? You're gonna get the ebook so you can refer to it. Don't read it from this
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so and please, when you get the ebook, guys, please don't share. It is a paid book. It's just exclusive to only students and you guys that are almost graduating. Your offer graduates you, by the way. So as long as until you get your job offer, you're going to be a student. So it's your offer that graduates you. So if you want to graduate from this college, you have to get your job offer by force. Then we'll
What
put
if
you
we don't want to graduate?
Eh?
What if we don't want to graduate?
You must graduate to
No. Not like after we get the job and we still want to be students because you like hustle like 2 jobs later now. So
no, like you're always going to be part of the community, right?
then we'll be
Yeah.
alumni, right? Not
Yeah,
grad-
alum, exactly. You get the point. Respect on your name. Like, hey, Tejiri, we are excited to invite you to the podcast. Or come and talk to her. It's no more, hey, Tejiri, come to class. Come and do interview prep. Come and, no, you get it. So, yeah.
Tejiri, wake up.
Oh, I always even side is sleep, but it's just that I always look on my keyboard and it looks as if I'm closing my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So next thing is we've talked about why you should not just list your skills and make a claim without actually providing evidence. I have great communication skills. Tell them why. I have great problem solving skills. Tell them problem you solved. Analytical skills. Tell them how you've used that skill. That way, you're providing evidence. You're not just making a blanket, because trust me, many people do that. You not doing that, again, is another win for you. So please pay attention. Next one, you can add in the team composition, which is really, what was the composition of the team? Like, did you work with 2 developers or 5 or 10 developers? Or did you work with just stakeholders? Was it like a business process improvement where you were just working on improving process or developing documentation or, compliance project? So not all projects are software, like where you need to work with developers, testers, and I hope we all know that. So you just want to talk about what the team composition is. Why that is important is it gives them perspective, like, okay, you work with this type of the size of the team or this team composition. We have a similar one. Okay, great. You're going to be a good fit, right? You also want to mention tools, right, that you've used, which you all know: Confluence, Jira, Miro, etc. You want to talk about how long the project lasted for. What was the project timeline? Was it a 6-month project or 1 year or 2 years? Whatever. You tell them it should make sense, right? And you want to tell them some KPIs. They can ask you. KPIs are key performance indicators, right? So, like, how are we going to measure success on this project? You see sample. So KPIs are important for you to know, and the outcome. What did the project deliver? So that's like the structure, and you see that play in action, right? So this is a generic sample, which I've actually mentioned earlier. Putting it together, you say, oh, hi, my name is Noah. I'm an experienced business analyst, 6 years experience working with diverse team, collaboratively turn ideas and challenges into successful project outcome. Okay, it's still very generic, but at least you know I'm a business analyst, right? I've developed my skills several domains such as banking, fintech, telecommunication over the years. And I've worked on projects such as customers relationship management system, enterprise relationship management projects, where I've worked to use my skills to give unique insight, right? It's still generic. Now, I'm going to talk more about the project later. So now I just want to snapshot, right? So my critical skills, like I gave example earlier, I have great communication skills, working with different diverse team to articulate project and business case, project plan, to work with different teams to articulate their requirement and translate that into requirement document, functional or non-functional requirement, user stories, test cases to help the team during implementation. So for example, I've also really honed my skill in problem solving as I help lead a smooth transition and improve process for a customer relationship management legacy system to a new scalable system over the years. I've worked closely with cross-functional team of developers, UI designers, testers to bring project to life, right? So you can give them the number if you like. You can keep it generic at that level, right? With respect to the project, some of the project I've worked from mid-sized project to very large and complex project throughout my career, and I will be talking about one of them. For example, I've worked on XYZ project with project objective to improve XYZ, right? So you will now go into that project using the ORO framework, talking about the objective, the roles and responsibilities, and the outcome for that particular project. That ends your tell me about yourself, right? Once you finish talking about the project, you just say, hey, I'm happy to share more about the other project as we go on in the interview. Bam. You don't need to talk about all the projects you've ever worked on. You just need to talk about one. Yeah. So that's like an example, right? Now, we're now going into the actual project. This we're going to talk about as much as we have time for. There are 9 projects here, real projects that you can actually explore. And you have to, because your assignment is based on this. So your assessment is going to help you aggregate all the things that you've learned from week 1, with two as if you're on the project. So you're going to do project end to end. So please listen, because once you do that assessment, you can literally use that plus the intro you put and deliver your elevator pitch that you'll be talking about in your interview. So it's very important to listen. So project one. So many years ago, so I was working with this amazing company. It's a fintech company. Fintech means financial technology company. So financial technology company. So we build financial product for banks, financial institutions, and so on. The name of the company is InterSwitch. Some of you may know the company, Nigeria, right? So, and this is I would say this company is a very important company because they built the backbone of the system that allows Bank A, for example, Bank A, I don't want to call the name because of our Kenyan guys might not know. So Bank A has an ATM, right? So Bank A has a customer, right? Customer can be Naomi, that banks with, let's say Combank. Let's use banks that we know here. Let's say Combank, you're a customer of Combank, Naomi, and Naomi wants to get money from ANZ ATM machine. Have you guys thought about how that happens? How that communication happens, that Naomi can go and successfully use ANZ's ATM, get money out, and it will debit our Combank account. Yeah, it is not magic. It is a system that orchestrates that conversation, right? That transaction. So this company was doing something like that. They have a application that would know that, oh, Naomi has taken $2,000 from her account, even though she used it in ANZ's ATM. ANZ put the money in their ATM, right? So ANZ will say, hey, your customer, Naomi, has taken 2,000 in our own bank, right? Our bank ATM, deduct her position, deduct her account. So you see minus 2,000 in your account. So there will be a settlement process because Joseph can also be ANZ customer and go to Combank ATM and go and withdraw 3,000, right? Possible. And when he withdraws 3,000 from Combank, at the end of the day, Combank will now say, oh, Joseph withdrew 3,000 for our own ATM. ANZ will say, Naomi withdrew 2,000 for our ATM. Oh yeah, let's reconcile. We will pay you 1,000 difference, right? Everybody is happy. So think about it for millions of customers. So it's a system that does that switching and switching services. Do you understand the background of what the company does? Huh?
Yeah, I
So
do.
yeah.
Yes.
So they allow intra-bank and interbank transaction. So because some of my own customer would also use my own ATM, so that settlement should happen as well. So
Yes.
they allow that transaction to happen. Now, if you have not worked with this company, for example, and you fix in a company name, let's just say you say it's Jacint for, let's just assume, you say it's Jacint that does this thing, for example. My point here is, like, if you know exactly what this company does, the project you're trying to solve, and you can talk about it naturally, will somebody doubt that you worked on the project or not? Huh? Is
No.
somebody going to doubt your prowess, like your experience?
No.
No. And all this will start from your preparation, your practice. And that's why I'm saying This is very important because it is your experience. And the more you do this, I understand what I'm saying here and how you can tailor it to your own context, the better the outcome will be, because you just go to an interview and talk freely about that. And that is your experience. That is your portfolio. You just go there, do that. You can get a job, like in Ika's case, you can get a job next week. Really. Well, so it's about practice. So now what is the project context? Now we know the company, we know what the company does. Yeah. So in this instance, remember I said this company also build financial services. So they build apps for banks, for organization. Now, there's in this project that I'm talking about, there's this bank that was looking to upgrade its current bank app. So let's say there's another bank, NAB. For people in UK, let's say it's okay, let's use HSBC. That's how everybody knows that. HSBC. Assuming that HSBC has a mobile bank application, right? They would have, definitely. But let's assume that it is not their own development team that built that application. Are we following? So they didn't build that app in-house. They outsourced it to maybe a company in India or China or whatever to build a bank application. So what's the problem here, right? It was difficult to get support, right? Because whenever there's an issue with that app, we need that company in, let's say in China. And time zone, let me use the actual scenario. So there's a bank in Nigeria, right, where they had this issue. They didn't build a mobile app. Whenever this bank app has issues, they need the company that built it, that is based in Mexico. Nigeria and Mexico, different time zone, right? So Nigeria bank and their customer are fighting on Twitter. They are dragging each other like, hey, useless bank. Your app is always crap. Always no issues. Transaction is not going. I can't log in. Issue. There's a Twitter thread everywhere scattered. Mexico are sleeping because a different time zone. Do you get? It's difficult to get support. The app is problematic. If you're the CEO, what do? You want a solution, right? Solution is to say, oh, InterSwitch actually has built some fantastic application, right? For local banks in Nigeria. They are Nigerian based. They provide excellent support. Why are we not looking to them to solve this problem for us, to build us another app? And we do what? We need it fast. Does that make sense? We did it fast, less, our reputation dies, our business dies, customer goes away because they are frustrated. Yeah? So what happens? They rush to InterSwitch and say, hey, we're going to need you guys to build an app for us urgently. We need it done in 3 months. Right? So now, that was like the project context. So tough. Tough because there are a lot of things involved. We need to integrate it to, there's something called core banking application, right? That processes debit, credit, general ledger, loans, different services, right? That's the core of the banking application. There are things like CRM that manages customer relationship, right? So these are lot of integrated applications that work together. For us as institutes, we have a CRM as well. Bele, Joseph. So we have a CRM. So the CRM is to help us track our lead, potential students, communicate with them, send them emails, things like that, follow up. If they have complaint or inquiry, they send it, we manage that communication. We send reminder to call them if they've not booked or if they need follow-up, things like that. So bank also do that. That's why some of you get message on your birthday, right? They tell you, they send you happy birthday message. How do you think they remember? Because they have your details in their CRM. They know your date of birth. So they've configured the message, birthday message to Chioma at this date. They don't need to do anything. It just goes. So when Chioma gets the message on her birthday, is she happy? Yes. Chioma, are you happy when you get the message? Yes, right? Even though they charge you for the message too. But anyway, message nonetheless. So the point here is that you explain the project context, right? What was happening? Now, the way I've explained this project content and why we needed to do that project, does it make any sense? Does it make sense to us?
Yeah, it
It
does.
makes sense.
Yeah. And that is how I want you guys to explain the problem. I'm not saying exactly this one. I'm just giving you that. If you want to use this one, fine. You change the name of the company. You should align with your resume anyway. But the point is, this is how you give them context that is sufficient for them to understand. Remember, they don't know what you did in your business analyst career. So if you just come and talk about a project without structure, you are beating about the bush. They will not understand what you did and why it's important, the objective. That's why this is super important. All right, so next step, we want to understand what type of team did I work with, right? Familiar. So you can see I worked with 4 backend developers, put their location, 2 front-end developers, the guys that do the UI implementation, 3 software testers, UI designer, business analyst, project manager. We were working collaboratively to deliver this mobile app for this bank, right? And I say, hey, well, so after I explain the project content, I'm saying here, so I had to work with 4 developers. I can go into detail and mention the number. I can say, oh, I work with 4 backend developers that were in a distributed team because we had 2 in Nigeria, 2 in Germany. I work with 2 front-end developers, 3 software testers, 1 UI designer. I was the business analyst and I worked with a project manager. We all collaborated to work on that project, right? So I use tools like, right? I use tools like, you mentioned all those tools, Jira, Conference, Miro, and what you use them for. Jira for product management, task creation, user story, epics, writing and all of that. My backlog, I'm prioritizing my product backlog, and I use Confluence for collaboration with the development team. So all our requirement document, our stand-up, retro document, all of those things were on Confluence. So very quickly, 5 seconds. All right. Visio for drawing, swim lanes, process flow to help the team visualize the different processes. For transaction, you can call out the KPIs. So we had to work on this app for 8 months. We had that strict 8-month delivery time, and we needed to deliver an app that does not have bug in production. Yeah. Project outcome, resounding success. This is still like very generic, but it was a resounding success. We delivered on time, within schedule and budget, flawless execution and outcome, significantly enhanced bank operational efficiency and customer experience. So this triumph not only forfeited the bank's trust in fortified, sorry, so it fortified the bank's trust in InterSwitch that, hey, you guys are super, right? And opened more collaboration and future contracts for the company. Because now we are like, hey, you did this app, we save us now. Okay, we have this other app we want to build, help us build it. What are you going to charge? Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, we're still going to get into more details on other project, but we're just warming it up. Like, at least, if this is all you need to actually know for a project, for your tell me about yourself, is it a very big task to do? Is anybody going to be challenged understanding a project like this?
No.
Okay, no from Kemi. Cosma, do you want to talk or you want to yawn?
Man, no, like it depends. It's all, it's just practice, It's not
Exactly.
hard, it's just practice. If you, like Tayo said yesterday, if you record it, listen to yourself, practice over and over, I'm sure it should be okay. To me, to be honest with you, looking at this is a new territory for me. I'm speaking for myself, so getting used to the terminologies, all that things is just something that practice would help to make perfect going in for the interview.
Absolutely. And that's really it. That's really it. Practice. You can see how it comes together. If I take this thing now and I just say, I sit down, I want to just like fine tune my project knowledge. I read this, I explain it to anybody I can find. This was my project. This was what I did as a business analyst. I explained the background. This was the project I was working on. This was the tools I used. This was the KPI. This was the outcome. How is my flow? You feel it yourself if you're flowing or you're getting a bump. And you do it, you do it, you do it. 1 week, you will say it closing your eyes. And then when you imagine when you now go for interviews, you're just gonna deliver like confident. I know my project, I know this thing, I know. Good. You just go and have conversation and work out with that job offer. Bam. That's it. That is it. So that's project one. So let's get a 10-minute break. Everybody's yawning. Um, and then
I'm still alive.
we come back. Let's go on break. Bolaji, turn on camera. Yeah. Okay.
No, no, no. I've been listening all the while. I've been listening,
I
but my
know.
daughter has been disturbing me.
All right. All right. 10 minutes break. I'm generous today. Don't say I not do anything for you. right, let's make our way back, please. Let's make our way back. Where are we, everyone?
Here.
Let's turn on our camera.
We are back.
Yep. Then we're gonna finish soon. Because communicate the main idea. All right, so we're gonna dive into project 2. Now, this project is actually my current company. So what is this company looking to achieve? So we are, and this is to tell you that there are different goals, objectives for different projects, for different companies. So this company is implementing product roadmap features. Remember, we talked about roadmap on Jira or timelines, which are like list of things that I have planned I want to do, right? So this company has a strategic objective to be a market leader when it comes to energy. When it comes to energy retailer, like providing the technology for energy retailer, this company wants to be the champion. So let me get Fred in. They want to be a market leader. So market leader means like the Amazons of this world. Like when you think about e-commerce, you want to shop for things, you first of all think about Amazon. So that's the kind of vibe they are trying to pursue, like in the energy sector, right? And how are they going to get there? So the project overview is that they've mapped out a couple of initiatives or a couple of things, features that they want the team to implement that will get them to like be a market leader and also expand, because it's a global company. They have operations in New Zealand, the US, Dubai, India. So India, Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand, US at this point. So they are expanding their operations. So what they want to do is they've said, oh, there are some key features that's in our roadmap that we want to achieve. And if we achieve all of these things, we would have positioned ourselves as a leader when it comes to energy retailer technology company here in anywhere in Australia, right? So that's the project overview. Then you may ask, like, okay, what are these features or what are these initiatives? I've also like documented some of them, just some of them, right? So the roadmap features include some of these. Some of them are to meet regulatory requirements. So Australia, for example, they have so many regulations, because just think about if a customer does not have light today. Think about if you don't have light energy in your house today, what will happen? Like, is it going to affect you or not? Serious.
Absolutely,
There'll be
yeah.
crisis.
Crisis, and I agree with that. There will be crisis because this has happened to us before. There's a time there was a bad storm last, I think last year, towards last year,
Serious.
right? And really affected the transition lines, and in our suburb, we did not have light for 2 days,
Ah,
and it was like hell. Like when you're living in a society where everything is connected, you really know that things are so connected. If I don't have light in Nigeria, there's a way around. Like there's, because the system there is like, okay, I know the default is there's no light, right? So I have gen, I have so many things, and there's no so much reliance. But here, the fridge, I can't just walk to the fridge. The fridge, things are going bad. The freezer, you know, so many things. You just realize that, whoa, I can't cook. I can't even take what good thing. The veggies are going bad. I can't I can't join a meeting just like this. So many things. You'll be amazed. And that's why there's a lot of regulations in that industry, because it affects life. And here there are so many people that have their own life support. They have disability, right? They must be protected, whether they have money or they pay their bills or not. Their life is dependent on having supply. If they don't have supply, they will die, literally. So that is why the energy sector, like, is one of the most regulated in Australia. So I'm giving you this context so that you appreciate what I'm saying going forward on this project. So with that in mind, some of these features are to comply with regulations, and some of them are innovative to improve the system, to position us as a market leader. So there's credit control tag. This is to protect customers that are experiencing financial hardship. Like, say maybe you lose your job, you don't have money to pay, you you should not be disconnected. Like, they should offer you things like payment plan, just to ensure you still have electricity. For the reasons I've mentioned, there's a lot of like reliance of electricity in everybody, residential, commercial, every type of customer you think about. Another one is concession card for seniors, right? There are some people that have concession cards, so they don't pay. Just think about, like, when you go to the doctor or GP, they say some people have concession, so they don't pay for some things. They are seniors, they are veterans, and all of that. Same thing in energy sector. There are some people that they have card to get discount, and all of that. This is another one, invoice and billing system enhancement. So, as you know, hopefully you all pay your bills, right? You get bills, right, from your energy retailer. And if you look at the bills, it's not like the bills you get when you go to Coles or Woolworth. Is it the same? Have we seen your energy bill before? All right.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, you have it on your app. Yeah, you see that it's elaborate. It tells you the usage. It tells you kilowatt, like, measure how you've spent, the electricity. It tells you how much you're due to pay. It gives you payment instruction. It gives, there's so many things there. That's to show you. It's not just like you go to a restaurant or you just get that white paper and, you move on. And, so that is to show you how detailed that must be. So a system has to comply. There's a section where the price for people to pay must be, how much is due, instruction to pay, option for payment plan. If you want to compare your plans, if you need financial assistance, all those information must be on that bill, right? So customer management upgrade. So all of these things you can read, but that's just to give you context about some of these features in our roadmap. There are more, of course. I can't put everything here, just to give you an idea, right? Same thing, team composition. No need to dwell on this, but this is like the type of composition. You see, I'm putting the location so that, for example, my company now, we have people, as I said, in India, New Zealand, Australia. So if you're a business analyst and you are kind of like trying to come into our company and you showcase that you've worked with people, a team that is distributed, right? A team that they are not located in one country, what does that tell like people listening to you? What does that tell your panel?
It shows your ability to manage time and collaborate.
Yeah, it shows that you're
Some collaborative experience.
exactly. So you're showing that yes, you can work in a distributed team across different countries and all of which would give you an edge. So if you have this type of, that is why I've called that the location. So you can say something, oh, I actually work with distributed team, of people in India, New Zealand, this and that. If that company appreciates that type of team, maybe because they run that kind of structure, it gives you an advantage. When they are considering, they'll be like, oh yeah, Chibundu actually has worked with different people, which is similar to what we have. That might just be that thing that hedges you over another strong candidate. So these little things are important, right? Tools used, similar to how I explained. So KPIs, right? So project timeline. So you can see this is 12 months. Rollover, phased rollover. So we are not doing all of them at once. They are in our roadmap. You know that timeline or roadmap on Jira, right? Roadmap, they are all in our backlog. So we are prioritizing them and working on them. Over a 12-month period, we need to deliver all the roadmap features. Some of the KPIs, I mentioned compliance earlier, efficiency, adoption of, so some of the KPIs that the company wants to measure. When you mention all of these, it gives insight. Now, just to explain, just so because you're not familiar. So customer satisfaction score post implementation. So this is like, now, if you raise a ticket to complain, or they send you a survey and say rate our service, AGL or Origin or all these energy provider, right, and you feel it, what they are doing is they are collating customer satisfaction, right, through surveys and stuff. So they are saying after we implement this thing, we're going to, of course, do all this customer satisfaction index through survey and stuff, and we want to see how. Of course, I've not mentioned like specific here. You can fit in any, data that you want there. Reduce customer churn rate. Who knows what churn rate means? Who knows what churn rate means?
Yes. Let me try.
Yeah.
Let me just try.
Mm-hmm.
It means the number of customers that come in and leave, just like customer turnover. Those who come in, those who leave, just like that.
Thank you.
That is the customer retention.
Thank you. So we have 100 customer today. Next tomorrow, we now have 90. Next, the day after, we have 80. You're churning 10% every other day, right? So churn is like customers that are with you that left, basically. And why do you think that customer will be leaving when they don't have good experience, right? When they don't really enjoy the service, not meeting their need. So they are saying every business will lose some customer. That's given, right? Just because for different reasons, it might not be what they want at that time. It's fine, but if it's high, then that's a problem. Do you understand? So that's what this KPI is talking about. Compliance rate with AEMO. AEMO here means Australian Energy Market Operator. So they are the ones that regulate the market, the energy market. So you don't read it and you're like confused, like, hey, what is this? Of course, you can Google it, but just making it simple. And billing and invoicing, I mentioned that to you. So they want to make sure that that invoice that you get is correct, because what will happen is, unlike if you go to a restaurant, if they make mistake and give you a wrong bill, you can just laugh about it like, some people can even pay out of shame, maybe because you go with your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband, you don't look at it too much, you just pay. Except it's like seriously ridiculous. You now start to look at the menu like, oh, what did I eat that made it? You might have paid and not know. But when it comes to energy, we all scrutinize. Like if you see a bill that is like, oh, this is high, you will now start to look at it like, oh, and imagine you look at it, you complain, they now say, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. What impression would you have? Next bill they send to you, will you trust that it is correct? Right? You see what he will do to you. Even if it's correct, you will still have that skepticism like, I think noise up to the, I'll call them again. Eventually, you might just leave like, they are scamming me, they are giving me high bill. You go to another, so you will lose cost. So efficient billing and invoicing process is critical for this sector. Right? It's very important. So that's why it's one of those KPIs that is being tracked. Another one, I talked about payment plans. I think payment plan is simple to understand. Oh, I don't have this $700 to pay this quarter. I ring them, AGL or Origin, and say, hey guys, I can't actually pay 700 right now. Can I be on a payment plan? And they tell you, oh, okay, we'll look at options. Okay, what can you pay every fortnight or whatever? What's your frequency? Do you want to pay fortnight, weekly, monthly? How do you want to set your payment plan? They'll tell you if it works for you, you can say, okay, $100 every fortnight till I finish paying. Bam. They set it for you and they debit you, So they are saying that rather than people just defaulting on bills, once we implement that payment plan, people should have options to say, hey, set payment plan for me. Right? And the project outcome, like I said, you just want to talk about what was the outcome of this project that we work on. That is the whole point. And you should never leave it out, because after all said and done, you think about it, like if you invested $1 million on a project and somebody tells you, oh, this was project objective, this was what I did as a BA, this was why we were doing it, this is how we did it. but you never talk about what the outcome was, then it's really pointless, isn't it? It's pointless. So you need to really cement it by talking about the outcome. What was the outcome of this project eventually? And that is a very strong insight that will show that, wow, you are a serious business analyst. Like, you did this type of work. Amazing. So that is why, going back to that framework, you talk about the objective, you talk about your roles and responsibility as a business analyst. Just think about all the things you do as a BA, and you talk about the outcome. Already, when you're talking about your project, it is sufficient information for somebody to understand what you did as a business analyst. Really, does that make sense? Are we together? Do we understand project number 2? I need to get a response, team.
Yeah, it's good. So
Understood.
Yeah. All right. So now when you go for interviews, you're not exact. I'm not saying cram this same project and talk about it the same way. Just understand, I'm explaining this project to give you something. There's something in your own life, in your own experience, that you can tailor using this approach, using this insight you have of real project, and formulate it, embellish, and then you have something. You just need to look back. Okay, I'm an accountant before. What are the system or processes that I've been part of that we've improved, or new system we've implemented? Or I'm working today and I feel timesheet. Can talk about it, like I implemented a timesheet. Tell them why you had to implement a timesheet working as a business, and like something simple like that, right? But we don't want to go simple like that, because timesheet, like, oh, come on, it's 2024. But the point is, there's something in your life you've been part of that you can talk about in this way. So don't necessarily go and cram, oh, this NOAA project 1 and 2 and 3. These are my experience. It's like, this is last case, worst case, you don't have anything, which I believe nobody is in that scenario. But worst case, you don't have anything. You have 9 projects to finesse, that change the form and talk about naturally and practice it and go. Because from next week, I need you guys to storm the market like crazy. It's a strategic time for you guys, because we are going into the new financial year. They are setting budget for the new financial year. Companies want to hire to achieve their new financial year goals. So you need to position yourself strategically now. You can see, even though some of you have gotten accidental interviews, you need to go there and go for it. All right, project 3. I think we only have time for 4 projects today. You can read the rest, the same concept. Now, this is a project that it is a high leverage project, because it shows that, yeah, you've handled complex project. That's why I really need you to listen, right? So this is the story of this project. Now, I think majority of us have experienced a scenario where maybe there's a bank A, that is buying another bank B, coming together. In Nigeria, we've seen Access and Diamond, right, come together to become Access Bank today. So many companies buy small companies just to leverage, to position themselves. like the Googles of this world, the Apples of this world, they buy so many new companies. Maybe for example, we were building an exciting AI that is better than Siri, for example. Apple can say, "Oh wow, this is great." Um, they buy us and implement it inside iPhone. So rather than Siri, it will now be that AI that is better, just like what they are doing with OpenAI, right? So OpenAI is a smaller company, but they have this great technology, AI technology. Now Apple is going to implement the technology in their new phones. So but they didn't buy OpenAI in this case. But let's not digress. Let me just ask Naomi and Martha. Where is Martha? Martha is not in class. So Naomi, where are you? Have you seen a scenario where two banks merge in Kenya?
Yes.
Yes, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
this will
Yeah.
make sense, right? Yeah. So definitely, I think most of other guys would know what I'm talking about. So this project is about two insurance company, right? They are trying to merge, and in this type of situation, we call it merger and acquisition. You can hear the word merger and acquisition. So one company, maybe typically will be the bigger company, merging with another one, or buying a small company and they are merging operations. Because just think about it. If a company wants to buy another company and they've successfully bought the company, are they going to have two operations, two ways of doing things, two different systems of operating? True or false?
No, they have to use one system.
Integration.
Yeah, I know. They have to use one, which is correct. But I'm saying, are they going to have two different systems, right?
No.
Yes.
Yes, they will
They will
initially.
have two. Yes,
Initially,
at the time of merging, yes, they will have two systems.
exactly. At the point of merging, because there are two different companies, right? They will have different system, different process, different people even, doing different things. So there are two different systems. Now, what this project is about is saying, is this sustainable to maintain two different systems for one company? Because when we merge, it should be one company, right? Is it sustainable to have two different systems? Huh? No,
No.
No, it's
right?
not.
Obvious answer is no. That is what this project is about. So we merged two insurance companies and we want to consolidate and streamline operation, system, product, processes to create a unified, robust entity or company. Like marriage, two becomes one, right? So, for example, when I got married, I changed. I changed because all the things that I used to do, somebody is now directing, like, hey, this is how you should show up in the world. This is what you should wear. This is, I'm like, oh, wait a second. But understanding and compromising is about that. But the point here is this is also like a marriage. They now have to determine one way of doing things. And as a business analyst, do you think you have a role to play here? Do we have a role to play here?
Yes,
Yes,
you have a role to play.
Plenty,
so many.
plenty. So from system to process to different things, there are so many processes in an organization. Is it how we acquire customer? Is it how we do sales? Is it marketing? Is it how we actually manufacture the goods? In this case, insurance product, right? We might have different type of insurance, house, car insurance, um, life insurance, and there are different ways of selling all of these things. There are different systems we use So there's so much, it's a massive project, right? So what do we want to do? We want to achieve, like, we want to define a project goal, right? What are we going to focus on? Because there we have so many things, but we need to define the scope of what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah? So the first one here, we want to merge IT system of both companies for seamless operations, including everything like database, customer management system, and digital platform. Chibundu, wake up. Huh? Don't doze. So we want to merge the IT system. First of all, IT is the backbone. So all the ways we manage our system. Somebody who wants support, they raise support requests, things like that. We need to define one process so that everybody in the company follows that same process. The databases we have where we store customer information, all the kind of information, we need one way of doing things. So other digital platform, we want to streamline that. That's one. And we know we have products, right? Different products and services. Next thing we want to do is to say, hey, how do we streamline all the product and services so that if we present as company A after the merger, our product is defined. It's not like, oh, that's company product. They have two different type of, for the same thing. Let's say car insurance, they have two products because they've not streamlined it. That would not be correct. So does that make sense on why we need to streamline our product and services as well? Huh?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. Operations, how we do things, how we execute on these services, this product, etc. We also need to streamline it. We can't have two ways of doing this for company A, company B, because now we are now one entity. We need one way of doing things. The policy, the governance, the regulations, we need to define one for the company going forward. That's a massive thing in itself. So you can see that the scope of this project is quite big. So it's also going to feed into standardizing processes like customer support process, how we execute on our claims, and other things, other services that we deliver, right? And as usual, we need to talk about our team composition. Like, who did we work with as a business analyst? Who are the people we engage? You see that in contrast to the project we've discussed earlier, these are not just developers. You see, the emphasis is not just testers, developers, and that's to emphasize that not all business analyst projects are software driven, and they are not every time you're going to work with developers. We have so many business analysts that are working on process improvement, enhancement, documentation, branding project. So there are different type of projects. It's not every time you work with developers. So you just mentioned all of these guys. You see, there's process improvement expert, for example, right? These are people you can be engaging with. They know how a process should work, how it should be optimized. You can collaborate with them, document the as is to be, work with them on the gaps, things like that you do as a business analyst. So integration is also going to be important. Compliance will be important because we need to make sure everything we do is compliant with regulations, right? Tools used. So these are some of the tools. You want to mention them and talk about what you did with them, right? ERP system. In this type of situation, just to give you more context, ERP system are, for example, as seen skills today, we have a system we use for accounting, right? So all the transaction, all those things, we have an accounting software. When it comes to customer relationship management, we have HubSpot, which is what we use. We use Zero for accounting. When it comes to project management, we use Jira, right? Documentation, we use Confluence. When it comes to what other thing, think about any operation, we have different systems. So what is the downside of having different systems for different things? Anybody? Like as you grow bigger as a company, what is the downside of having different systems?
Working in synergy would be very hard to synchronize everything. So
It
Fantastic.
becomes confusing.
Yeah, I like that. So that's synergy. So if I want to get a report about, okay, how many projects did we do and how much did it bring and how does it link to project and, you know, documentation that we have and the customer and our accounting, there is no integration there except you go and build an integration point. So as you grow bigger as an organization, you want real-time insight. You want integrated systems that will help me with how I charge my customer, finance, manufacturing, procurement. This is especially important in some critical industry like inventory. Imagine Coles has sorry, Charles, I need to mute you. Imagine Coles does not have like a robust ERP system. They don't know when items are running low on the shelf. They can't track it because they use one system for inventory. They use another one for monitoring the inventory. They use another one for actually at the cashier point to scan QR code and payment processing. Is that going to optimal? No. They will be running into issue. They will not know how to track and control the inventory and stuff. So ERP is very important, especially for big organization enterprise, to then synchronize all their information, get a dashboard review, get data that will tell you when things are, when things needs to be action, so you have insight that will drive strategic decisions, right? So that is the quick overview about why ERP systems are important. And as I said earlier, CRMs are how you manage your customers. If you don't have, like one time we didn't have CRM, and you know what will happen? So if we get a referral, for example, hey, this student is interested, talk to this person. So I might talk to the person, I call the person, talk, they might be interested, but not now. Maybe it's next cohort. Because we don't have a CRM, what will happen is I'll send that information and that might be it. I move on to other things. If that person is not interested on their own, they don't come back. There's no way to track. All right. But now we have here CRM system, for example. So if I get a lead, right, I talk to them. Maybe they are not same scenario. They are not interested now. Maybe they are interested for July or September, right? Can put them in the CRM and continue to engage them, keep them in the loop. Automatic emails like, hey guy, here's another success story. Have you seen, all of that stuff, and keep them warmed up, right? So one day they will now say, no, I've had enough. I'm motivated. I'm ready now. And come back. I might even forget that I've spoken to that person, but the CRM keeps communicating and doing its work. So there's proper tracking, there's stuff. Like I said, your bank, nobody is going to your profile to manually send you happy birthday message on your birthday every single time. Do you understand? They've configured it like, hey, once it's somebody's birthday, just send the birthday message, etc. So that's managing relationship, interaction, calls, all those interaction from calls, support ticket, all those things are there. So what I said today, when we go 6 months later, I can still go and review the notes I put there and say, oh, this was what we talked about. Okay, we pick up the conversation there. Are we together? How many of us, we've called some company to resolve an issue and they say they transfer you and you have to restart or re-say all the things that you explained to the first? Do you find it annoying? Right?
It's very frustrating.
Very frustrating, I swear.
Yeah. It's
And it still
very,
happens like now, like now in Australia. Like
yeah.
it's
So
even with big companies, it's like
yeah,
why?
yeah. So that is a function of, some of these companies, they've not implemented, especially when they forward to another department, they don't keep the log. While some, they will tell you, oh, don't worry, I've popped in the case number so that you just continue the conversation. But it's very rare. And it depends on the type of CRM system they have to allow them do that. So just really buttressing why CRM is important for organization. So, you talk about the tools, just like we've explained. You talk about project timelines. This one is 18 months for the project goal, right? It's longer, it's more complex. And you see some of the KPIs here: completion of integration, employment retention. So we know we've talked about churn rate. This one is about retention, employee retention. Some companies suffer from employers, like employers, some companies, they suffer from employees leaving, right? Employees will leave if the organization is not bearable, if there's so many things that are not working. And there's always danger in a scenario where you are merging two companies together, because company A and company B, they are just trying to learn about themselves. There might be loggerhead if the system, the process, the product, all those things are not streamlined effectively. Then there will be clash, because this company will say, this is how we do our thing. This one will say, no, this is how we do our thing. Then there will be more conflict happening. And that's why this project is very important, to streamline that process so everybody knows that going forward, this is our process. No more your own way or our own way, or like literally in that project experience, people will be saying things like, oh, those guys, they don't know what they are doing. I don't know how they even got some customer. We did their conky process. This one will say, look at them. They are not even, that's why they were a small company. Like, comment is now me versus this one. But when you streamline process, you get all those strategy right, then everybody knows that it is our company now. This is the process going forward. Reduces all those friction. And of course, from regulatory and compliance perspective, you can't have two companies still doing different things. Like, there's no one way of doing things. It will confuse the customer. Like, it's not just palatable, right? So yeah, and you want to talk about project outcome. It is very, very important. So you can read the project outcome, you can formulate your own, whatever you're comfortable talking about. So again, project 4, and we only have 5 minutes, but I'm just going to give overview on this. But any question on project 3 so far? Any question on project 3 so far?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have less than 5 minutes. So let's talk about project 4 very quickly. As time permits. So here, this was my experience with University of Queensland. And you can see that it is not a software development type of project. So they had or they have policies, guidelines, operating procedure for the university. So policy like this is our policy for admission or employing staff in the university, right? So there can be admission policy, there can be employment policy, there can be, there were different policies. They have a lot. Guidelines as well. These are the guidelines. If you want to create this, the way we work, the way we raise requests, different things. So the system that they use to manage their policy, guidelines, procedures was outdated and there was no workflow. So if they want to create a new policy or a new guideline in the university, there were too many manual process that impact how quickly you can develop those documents, which are important. And to create things like policy, it goes through a lot of department. It goes through Senate. They have Senate. They have academic unions. They have other unions that must review and approve those policy. I think, Chibundu, you have academic experience, right? You worked as... I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, I worked as a secretary, not an academic staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like Senate,
That's the highest academic
exactly.
lawmaking body. Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys are the ones that eventually approve policies and stuff. And before it gets to them, there's so many other unions, departments that must approve policies and procedures for the university. So the system they use to, if you want to create policy and procedure, is very, very clunky. It's difficult. There's a lot of manual work involved. So the project here was to implement a new policy management application that has good workflow where you can just create a policy, send it to somebody to review. It reminds them if they've not actioned it, send reminder. It can track all the changes made to the document, things like that. So workflow system basically, right? So, and this is the project objective. It will help with workflow documentation, requirement identification, standardization of procedures, and implementing the new system. So this was team composition. There's no developer, right? It was more of implementation. And this was timeline, 9 months, KPIs, and the project outcome. So you can read all of these, but you can see the structure that we're talking about. With that being said, is there any question? You can read all of this. We can't go through all the project, but I hope that
Hello, Tayo. I'll say Tayo. Hello, Noah.
this man.
My apologies, but please,
Have
I
I
want to
sounded
beg
like
you.
Tayo all day?
My apologies. But please, I want to beg you. Can you please explain this last project quite a bit more, please. The reason is this might be very beneficial to me in this present moment. Please.
Okay. By the way,
Like in terms of
mm,
how you worked with the team and how as a DA you of significant importance to that type of process.
yeah. So I'll tell
That's
you,
what I want. Okay.
I'll just tell you real life experience. And but let me get Joseph. So it's no more on me. This time now is borrowed time. So I want to answer a question. But by the way, there's assessment. So I need time for that. Joseph, do you have a question? Your hand is up.
Yes, my questions are, the first one is
Questions. Okay.
the first one is for the scan job, do we have
Job scanner. You
job
get the
scanner?
credential. Yeah,
Yes.
you get it.
Okay.
Next one.
The second one. So our interview prep, you said it's Mondays and Tuesdays. So will there be links sent out every,
You
or
get
how?
communication. So next week is your last Thursday and Friday here. So next week you're going to come and defend your project based on this assessment. It is you guys, and that's really the start. So you're going to come and present your project based on this assessment we'll give you guys. It's just about presentation. And once you can do that, you can pretty much start to apply and go for interviews. But interview prep Mondays and Tuesday, we'll communicate the time. Sorry, we'll communicate the date to start for you guys. Yeah?
All right.
All right. So
yeah, go ahead.
okay. So to Abayomi, so basically when I got on this project, as I've explained, they're trying to implement a new system to help them with their policies, guidelines, and procedures, right? And they have started the project already. So what did I do? They, of course, requested for all the documentation that explains the project objective. Asked for some of the policies, like, because I was not even, like, before then, I've never worked in academic setting before. And these guys have thousands of policy and procedure document, right? So I am genuinely clueless about policies, procedure, guidelines. I know what they mean, but I'm in academic setting, I don't know how they are implemented. So the first week was about, all right, show me some of the policies, right? Where do you see with this system that you keep them today? Show me. So I got access to the system, looked at it. Okay, what are the issues with this system that you're complaining about? Oh, I saw it. There's so many matters. So if you raise a request to create a policy, for example, you can start the process. You need to download that document, send it via mail to somebody. The issue with that is that that person will sit on it for as long as they need, and no reminder. I say you send email, there's no systemized way of tracking how long someone spent, that continuous movement and accountability for that type of work to go forward. So it was getting stuck in a manual process, not easy to track. And the way they do it is they follow up. At the end of the day, when they get it done, eventually, because remember, there's so many steps involved, so many high authority involved, up to Senate. Senate is like the highest authority in academic setting. It takes a long time. Sometimes they spend, to give you an idea, sometimes it takes 1 year, 2 years to get a policy done. That's how long it takes. So that was not sustainable. So they needed a system that is scalable, that is going to support workflow management. So that was the system we're brought in to work on, right? So they've started with the project when I came in. And as I said, what I did, as I always explain to you, first of all, you want to know in very good detail what the project is about, which is what I've explained, right? Ask for, okay, where can I see all this policy? Because I even need to know what policy is, like different types of policy. Got the access, check. Oh, I saw, oh, there's admission policy. The policy guides everything they do in the business, in the company. So I looked at, oh, guideline. What are guidelines? Oh, these are the things that guide how a department runs, right? Their processes and stuff. Oh, okay, I get it. Operating procedure is similar to guidelines as well. Oh, okay, what is the hierarchy? There's policy, there's guidelines, there's operating procedure. Oh, okay, got it. All right, who are the stakeholders? Oh, go for project meeting, listen, understand what they are talking about. Oh, okay, I get the idea, I get the gist. The system, I looked at it, review it. Oh, okay, I know the system, I know what we're trying to. Mind you, we are implementing a system, we're not building another one. So there's a consultant that is implementing, they already have the system, they just want to tailor it to the requirement of the university, which is my role, where I'm working to really understand what are the core requirements, some of which are, like for example, workflow, right? We want a way where we can start the creation of a document, either policy, guidelines, procedure, and I can send it to Chibundu as the next supervisor. And Chibundu, if Chibundu is wasting time, it will send Chibundu reminder, guy, you have 1 day left on this, right? If Chibundu does not still do it, it will escalate to Chibundu's manager that Chibundu has not approved this thing. Can you nudge? And you know, when you have that type of setting, people will take action, right? So you don't want to escalate to your boss, right? So you would action it. So there's no more, oh, let me send mail, let me do. So the system does reminders, does so any change Chibudu make, I can review it. I can see that, oh, Chibudu has added these new things into this document. Okay, right? And then when Chibudu gives me that feedback, I implement that feedback, send it back to him. He can then approve, then it goes to his manager, then it goes up the hierarchy like that, workflow till they too, it might get to his manager say, oh, change this thing in the document, come back to me, I'll change it. It goes again until everybody in that ecosystem, that workflow is satisfied. And it's usually a long process, but the point is system is helping us track all the changes, sending reminders, sending revision. People can approve, reject, get correction, blah, 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 until the end. And also, it provides centralized place for us to store all the documents. So anybody can go and access it there. Not like one department is looking for this document to learn about, okay, what is our procedure to hire staff? They have to go and message HR to get the document, right? They can just go to this document repository and search what is employee guidelines or procedure, and see the document and read it without interaction with any, as long as they have access, the right access. So there's access management as well. So those are the kind of things that we were working. So again, I'm documenting the requirement, I'm engaging the stakeholders, to document this requirement and communicating to the guys that are implementing the system, the consultant. Do you understand? Till we finish that project and delivered on project objective. So this is it. First solution architect from the vendor, right? The guys, forgotten the name of the company, but they are a different company. Policy managers, people that know about policies, I engage with them. Hey, What are the things that make policy a good one? Things like that, right? University administrators, right? Me. And I had another business analyst, so it was not just me.
Thank you.
So it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Yeah. Chibundu.
Yes, what you have just explained makes a lot of sense because that was what we actually lacked in the university. The policies are there, but this integration was lacking. It was glaring, and it leads to delays, frustration. Many students are frustrated. Sometimes we hear that a student wants to commit suicide. You will write a letter. If it gets to the table of a difficult official, he will just sit on the letter and keep quiet. There is no automated system to remind this person and say, hey, release this letter you are sitting on. How far with it? Most of the things are done manually. If you want to refer to any policy, you must go to personnel, which you call HR, personnel. You must go to personnel to do consultation for policies. Even though the council is there, the governing council is there, the highest, the policy making body, then the Senate is there, the highest academic making body. So all these bodies are in place, but this integration, this automated integration system was lacking, and it spoiled a lot of things. So if you are not, maybe you don't know somebody who can help you track a letter manually, then your letter will just get lost with time.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Chibundu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm happy that some of you are finding your groove, like Chibunzu now can relate to this type of project more because of his previous experience. I think Abayo Ayobami as well. So that's why there's variation. You can tailor different experience and find what works for you. You don't need to say it exactly. Of course, you will not go and say I work with Queensland Health, right? You need to tailor it to your own experience and just use this framework and do something that works for you. Sorry, Olayinka, why are you running? Your hand was up.
Okay, so I wanted to ask that for the different projects that you've listed, there are some places that have goals of project and there are some places that are objective of project.
Yeah,
What are the difference?
good question.
Goes.
All right, so somebody should answer at this stage. What's the difference between goals and objective?
No, I know the difference between goals and objective.
Uh,
I'm just saying, why is it that for some projects on this list there are goals, project goals, and on other projects
it's
there are
not
objectives?
it's not anything significant or tactical. They are similar, right? In the way it is, right? It's not something you should. Let's just be they are similar. Right? Goals, objective, they can be used in that one. So for the same reason you asked this question, you should not see it somewhere else and say, what was your project goals? And you're like, oh, I'm not sure. No, I did not see this one in the framework, right? Uh, you know that it's still like the same thing as objective, like what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. Huh? If I say what's my goal in life to make impact, what is my objective? I can still say it's to make impact. Still correct. Do you understand? So it can be used interchangeably. There's nothing tactical about why they are different. Hey. Makes sense. So if you watch this video 3 times, I think you have a solid understanding of how to tackle this. And I hope you've accepted the interview, Olayinka. Huh? Huh?
One of
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, good job. Well done. So all you need to do is just refine what am I gonna say in my tell me about self. Just give it a go. Nobody is going to beat you. Like what's the worst? Nobody's beating you, right? So just go there and have fun. Just be curious. I'm always curious in life. What is there? Let me check. Let me go for it. I think that's a good thing. Congrats. At least you would have had one experience. And it just might be the one. You never know. Like love at first sight. Hey. Um, okay. Any other question? Let me not see anybody drop off now because we'll fight. Um, I promise you, this is the last assessment I would ever give you. Ever.
Bro, that is what you said the last class. So.
Well, actually, I should not call this an assessment, really. I think I should change it. This is not an assessment. This is this is what gets you the job, really. It's not really for me. The assessment are like, do this so you learn, you master this skill. This is how you position and really solve that problem of where do I start from. Now, this is your portfolio. What am I needing you to do? Now, we've run through project ideas, right? So I want to get you as the actor on this project. What do I mean? So this is Noah's experience. Noah can talk about all the things he did. Of course, this is a summarized project idea. Again, it's just an idea for you to come up with some. Now you need to be the actor. It can be this project, any of this project. It can be your own that you've worked on. So Kemi can be like, yeah, I'm in finance person. I know this system we were using for finance, and I know that there were these issues with this system. So I can be the business analyst that solve or replace that system with another one. That's my project that I feel comfortable talking about. I know what the system is doing. I know the features and things like that. But I think before we finish, right, to give you, there are projects that have more context. For example, before like how we say, why is this one different? So, for example, this project 6, right? So project 6 has problem statement. Yeah. Objective, methodology, right? This is going into more details, right? We talk about the methodology I used, timeline, what I did in project initiation, right? Some of the artifacts I created, my requirement elicitation techniques, what I did to choose the LMS, right? My approach as a business analyst, the kind of sprint cadence, the analysis I did, mock-up that I contributed to, development team that I work with. This one had migration, MVP, dashboard, cause some of the features really, testing, what I did there, phase 2, challenges encounter, tools, non-functional requirement, some, you see, this is more details. So this start with this so that you don't say, so many things. All we are doing here is that just giving you more context. Just like I said, if somebody says, tell me about yourself, you can, because averagely, I think everybody here is more than 20 years. You can go deep or go narrow or whatever in answering that question. So this one has more details, like help you think about it more or less, like what did I do in initiation, what did I do in planning, what did I do during execution and development, what did I do during testing, what did I do during implementation. Can I just say to you guys that at my age, I actually don't have so much energy doing this. This was excerpt from one of our former students, an alumni now, basically. This same thing explained. We gave her, well, do your project, and she broke it down into this level of details. So some of the work you're gonna do, I'm gonna take the good ones and collate it into experiences that I'll use for people coming behind you. So the work you're doing this week is very important. You can see it's in the ebook, and it was Rachel that did this. So the point here is that I have synthesized, I've condensed my own experience with some of our student experience as well to make it rich. I would need some of your own experience as well to even make it greater as we do version 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is why I'm the luckiest person in the world. I can collate all of your brains and make it into my own thing. So please do a good job. What are you going to do? You're going to rewrite, right? Rewrite project objective, goals, Olayinka, goals, objective, problem statement, whatever, right? In your own word. I say rewrite if you want to rewrite any of the 9 projects in the ebook. And this is for, so as I said, this is for somebody that says, oh, I can't think about my experience, so I don't know. I don't want excuses. Just choose one of the 9 projects here and turn it to your own thing. Rewrite project objective. So what I would do for you is you're going to be able to talk about, oh, as a business analyst, this was the project I worked on. This was the objective. It will help you internalize the project objective very clearly. That's why I say rewrite or create your own or invent. You are an inventor now. Invent your project objective. Are we together? Invent, rewrite, elaborate, project objective or goals or problem statement. Yeah. Write it in first person. What that means is I worked on this project where this was the objective, right? It will help you get into the mindset of I worked on it. That's why I say write it in first person. Everything here, write it in first person. I did what? We want you to also summarize a business case for it. Now, you're not going to do that long template you did group work week 1 or 2. Just summarize business case. Like, what is what was the cost benefit? Like, if I put 1 million, I want to know what I will get. You know how we talked about that week 1 or 2. So do that. Summarize. It should not be more than 2 paragraphs. Just key thing in a business case for why somebody will say, I approve this project, right? Develop a mini project plan. Again, very small. You see, all these things, no story. It's straight to the point. It's not write history. Just small. What are the major milestones? So I don't want you to just say the project was 6 months. Just say, oh, maybe 6 months. We need to deliver business case, deliver. I don't want to give you. Just put all the milestones you achieve for the project, right? Call out the key features, activities you'll be doing in the project. Next one, what type of elicitation technique did you use? Now, in this ebook, Again, I don't want this book to be like 50 pages, so it's just summary. But in your assessment, I'm looking for more. So when we say the point is, I want you to document something like, in this project, I used workshop because it was the right technique to effectively gather out stakeholders, get consensus, whatever, at the initial stage of the project. So justify why. That's what I'm saying. Justify why you use one. So you will not use only one, of course. Call out the requirement registration technique and why you use them. Again, not too much, just summarize. Document 5 requirements, just 5. Again, I want it to be concise. I don't want to say 20, 30, because you just need to mention some in the interview. You're not doing the project in the interview. Right? So 5 requirements, high level, 5 user stories. This will help you remember what makes a good requirement. User stories. I don't need to tell you, you need to add acceptance criteria. If you write requirement without acceptance, I'll flog you. Huh? So please remember, it's almost criminal to write user story or acceptance criteria without requirements without acceptance criteria. Now you will now draw swim lane for this project. So choose any flow, any flow you want to draw the swim lane for, depending on your project. So I can't tell you draw this or that. I can't say draw onboarding flow or something. It would depend on the project you're working on. So that swim lane must be related to the project you're working on. Right? Then write 5 test cases and tell us the project outcome. Now, doing all of this would mean that you've executed a project from almost start to finish. If you look at the structure, it's like from start to finish. What you did during initiation, what you did during planning, what you did during execution, what you did, during testing and validation and development, and then project outcome during closure. That way, you already have a robust project to talk about. And I'm just saying, do it for one this week. Now, this is going to be your ticket to that job offer, I can assure you. Because once you can know your project from start to finish, this is your portfolio. I should keep it that way. This is your portfolio that you're building. And that's why I'm saying it's not an assessment. Give it your absolute best. Because what will happen is that you just marry it with the tell me about yourself, elevator pitch. You will take things about your project to add to that elevator pitch. You go to interview and shine, because everything they'll be asking you be around this project. Oh, what is how to draw a flow? What is how to write requirement? What is your understanding of business case? How do you collaborate with stakeholder? All of those things happens in a project, and you would have done one project at least. And later on your own, you do 2 or 3. You need 3 projects to be able to claim 5 years experience. Of course, as you know, you can't say you did one thing for 5 years. That is why you need like 3 projects. But you're not going to talk about all the 3 in interviews. But you just want to have that in your arsenal. Any question? And like I said, next week you come out. So next week, Thursday and Friday, is about you presenting everything, giving feedback, and that way you have confidence to go for any interview. Any feedback, any question?
Yes, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Dominic. So my comment is just on the assessment or project, I don't know which one to use, the best one to use only for it, because it says not an assessment. So I'm looking for the best way to use.
Just call it portfolio, your portfolio, yeah?
Okay, portfolio, yeah. This portfolio that are given to us now, because looking at what we have is 8 items, and going by what we need to do for this portfolio. Are we still going to submit within the same window that we will be submitting other assessment? Because this look huge to finish within 2 days or 3 days or 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah, why can't you finish one thing 4 days?
Not one, the 8 of them.
What is 8? Is really all these things should not be more than 2-3 pages, by the way, guys. It's only the diagram that might make it maybe 3 or 4 page. I'm not saying go and do massive work. Let me remind you guys, we want something you can consume. You see this thing, they are not more than 2 pages, 3 pages, right? There's no story time. The story time is going to be in your head. So just summarize it, right? Like now, are you not like I didn't write so much stories, but I explained it to you guys, right? Because I know the product, I know it. If you do it, you know it. You can explain it. So it's just talking point for you. And that's what we expect. So I'm not saying go and document 10 pages. No, 3 to 4 pages maximum is a summary. And even if you do 4 pages, later you still need to summarize it to like 2 pages. But 4 pages should be maximum. So tell me why you should not do it in 4 days.
Because we have children, bro. Like, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah. I-
They
So
will
are
not
we
let you
doing all the
finish.
projects or are
Cosmos,
we
don't
just
even go
picking one?
there. Oh. Don't start this children matter. If you men
Oh,
can even talk about children, what do you want us to do, we women?
oh yeah,
Abi,
sorry. Because we help.
Let's leave
Sorry,
children
sorry.
matter. Let's
so
not
you
Let
talk
me
have
about
to.
that
rephrase.
one
Let me
now.
rephrase. Because we help
Yes,
our
please.
wives look after the children. Sorry, sorry.
People are breastfeeding the children.
No. I just rephrased. Sorry.
Ah,
Uh,
So are we doing all this assignment or we are just taking one altogether?
just one, sir.
Okay.
Just choose one that you can relate to, that is in your domain or subject line. You can see there's academic, there's finance, there's energy sector. There are student, there are different part there. So just just choose one, just one.
You
And
tired.
And do we have to do anything on Jira or just
no,
on Word
nothing on
document
Jira,
only?
nothing on
Okay.
Jira. Everything is Word document. Just do it. Is your personalized. That's why I say it's portfolio. It's not assessment.
Okay.
Is your own personal weapon to go to war. So that is it. Like, we want you to be well equipped. So when you apply correctly from yesterday, you get interviewed. The next step is to go there with your firearm. All right. One, just one. What you are doing going forward is lesser than what you've done already, guys. I need to remind you. Now it's just revision mode, doing this type of thing, solidifying your experience, and then that's it. And it will also help you when you get on the job. They say draw a flow. You're not going to be like, I don't know what that is. Like, you've done all these things. And it's also going to help you revise. This is tying all the class, most of the class. If you think about it that way, it also helps you revise the class. It's tying the class and giving you that confidence. Oh, business case. Oh, these are, you refresh, and then everything ties together into a project. Kemi.
So, I wanted to say that yesterday's session is not on weeks yet.
Yes, today you get everything. You're gonna get everything.
And also the credentials for job scan. I've forgotten it.
Yeah, you get that on Slack. You're gonna get everything.
Alrighty.
today.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
been a pleasure. You guys enjoy.
Let's get the job.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Starting with you, Olayinka. No pressure, but yay. Let's go. Let's go.
Olayinka, we are rooting for you. Success in your
Yeah.
interview.
Yes, no. Please go for the
Thank you.
interview. Don't run, no.
Yeah, positive feedback. Next week.
Thank you.
And come and give us feedback. Interview.
It's just gonna help
Thank you.
everybody, guys. But yeah, let's keep it up and help each other out. All right. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Aside, John.
Yes.
All right.
All right.